Hello everyone, my name is Hector Mendoza. So this is video number 3 of an 8-part video that I am posting on YouTube, and it's how to become a good independent adjuster. These are the subjects that each one of these videos are going to be about. Okay, this is the one that we are right now making. Okay, so out of the 8-part series, I've already, this one here was placed before all those other ones, but I've already posted number 1 and number 2. So here's are the links to those. So let's go ahead and now I do have some other ones. If you look right here, these are some videos that I started prior to making this 8-part series. So let's get down to it. So okay, so if you've been following those videos by now, you have already accepted the claim, either made contact or attempted to make contact with the insured. Okay, whenever you go to this inspection, make sure that you are there on time. Okay, if you're going to have a ride along or a letter assist, make sure you coordinate with them to meet you at the designated location at the same time. Y'all both want to be there at the same time. Don't let him be there before you, or don't you get there before him. It's better, if all possible, that both of y'all get there at the same time. Now, before you even start the inspection, there's going to be times when you're walking into a hostile situation. Okay, and let me give you some examples. Insured could have had a difficulty time reaching the claim handler. Insured didn't know who or how to make the call. This could be the 3rd, 4th, or possibly the 5th attempt to conduct the inspection. Okay. Contractor has already convinced the insured that the adjusters are there to deny the inspection. Whatever the situation is, no matter what tone of voice the insured talks to you with, just you have to be calm and listen to what he has to say. Express to him that you're there to give him a thorough inspection, and that you're there to provide coverages that is allowed by the policy and all the endorsements. So you're gonna this goes a long way if you go and apologize to the insured and explain to him that the situation, and that you're putting yourself in his situation. That goes a long ways. Now, when you're doing the inspection, make sure that you do the whole inspection before you start telling him or her what you're not going to provide. And here's the thing: if you're already going in there, you're telling them, I'm going to pay for this, I'm going to pay for this, I'm going to pay for this, and then all of a sudden you say, no, that's not covered. Sometimes they can end the inspection right there, or the whole inspection can just do a 180. Okay, so make sure that you don't discuss what you are or what you're not going to provide during the inspection with the insurer, the PA, or with the contractor. So, you know, you want to make sure that you let them know that you are the one that's in charge of the inspection, because you are the one that are in charge of this inspection. Anything goes wrong in that inspection, it's your butt, not theirs. So when you're doing the inspection, don't let them deviate on how you're doing the inspection. So when you're doing an inspection, you always want to do the inspection the same way, the same all the time. You don't want to deviate. If you're doing an inspection and the contractor or the insurer says, oh, here, let's go to the other side. I need to show you something. If they're following you around, what you need to do is say, sir, in order for me to give you an accurate inspection and I don't miss nothing, I need to conduct this in a systematic way. That what you're going to explain to him, this is how I'm going to do the inspection. I'm going to do the front elevation. I'm going to do the right elevation. I'm going to do the back elevation, the left elevation. When I get up on the roof, I'm going to do the front slope, right slope, back slope, left slope. And if I conduct my inspection with my notes, the claim handler is going to be able to look at my files and notes and make his evaluation a lot easier than if I bounce around. So just let them know. Okay. Now, during the inspection, if you do get into a hostile situation, and trust me, if you're going to be an adjuster for a long time, this is going to happen. Anybody tells you, oh, I've never had this. I've never have ever heard of anybody not having that situation. I don't care what kind of personality you have, it's going to happen. So just be prepared. When they come at you, do not hit back. Listen to them and explain to them. You're there to help them. You're not there to deny the claim. And like I said, don't talk about what you're not going to give him. And if possible, don't even talk to them what you're going to give them till the end. Okay? So, so there's going to be times when the customer is real happy with what you're doing for him or her. They're going to offer you bottles of wine, Crown Royal, a 12-pack, a case of beer, things they sell. A lot of people sell out of the house, and they're always going to try to give you a gift. It's in their heart, but you cannot accept anything because it's unethical. And you're getting paid to do your job, so do not accept anything, okay? I'm trying to read my notes, so I try not to forget something. Okay, so before you go to the inspection, you're going to have FNOLs. You're going to hear that terminology a lot. Okay, that's called the first notice of loss. And that comes in a bunch of different ways. But what I always do is I print out my FNOL, my priors, and page 5 of my Eagle View. And I'll go into that a little bit before I go to the inspection. Okay, before you go to the inspection, you need to study your policies and endorsements, especially if it's pertinent to the inspection itself. Especially if you do daily claims, when you have basement losses, when there's going to be things that those endorsements will cover, even though the policy itself says you're not covered for this, but then you have an endorsement, they're paying extra money and they will cover for it. Or there's a policy that normally pays for something, but then there's an endorsement that doesn't pay for it. So you got to be real careful and learn to read and interpret the policies. So when you're there, you're going to knock on your door. Hi, Mr. Insured. My name is Hector Mendoza. I'm here to do a thorough inspection of your property. At this time, do you have any questions? Sometimes people will give you, let's say, there's packets and brochures that you're going to provide to them, not this. At that time, it's not a good time to explain that brochure or packet, because you don't know if you're going to provide anything. So hand it to them so you don't forget, and tell them, once I complete my inspection, I will explain what this packet is and what it does. Okay, so so now, so let's see, you go and you explain the process. Once you do the inspection, you're gonna let me see, you've done the claim. Okay, one of the first things you want to do is ask the customer if the email that you have, if that is correct, because people change their email. Sometimes they can have a policy for years and they never change their email. So when you email them something, first of all, when you email it, you're going to call the insurer and say, hey, I emailed you this. Did you get it? But you want to ensure that that email is correct. Also, make sure that the mailing address is the same address as the location of the property that you're inspecting. Sometimes they have a tenant, their sons, their brothers, somebody living in another piece of property they own, but their mailing address is different. So when we send them something, they're going to say, you're going to get a call 2 months later. Hey, man, I thought you were a good adjuster. You told me y'all were going to send this or that to me, and they never received it. So make sure that you check that. Okay. Then another thing you want to do before you even do the inspection, ask them how old the roof is. A lot of times they don't know. They bought a house that was already there 10 years, 40 years before they even purchased it. They don't know if it's a new roof. They've never climbed up there. They never even look at their roof. So they might not know, but sometimes they're going to say, oh, 4 years ago, I had a new roof, or I had a repair, but sometimes they'll know when the last time that a roof was replaced. So now you're going to walk around the property. You're going to take notes. And like I was telling you, I always print out my Eagle View. So let me show you something. The Eagle View, let me give me some more canvas room and reduce it a little bit. Okay, so this is page 5 of your Eagle Views. So when you print this out, there's a lot of data there that's very helpful to you when you're walking the premises. For instance, let's say that this area right here, you could have only a certain little area that had damage to hail, because you could have trees protecting everything else, but in this particular area, it wasn't protected. So you're going to pay them everything that's owed to them, not a penny more, not a penny less. So with that eagle view, you got the measurement from here to here. So let's say you were going to provide those gutters there, or the fascia or soffit or whatever because of wind damage. You already got that measurement, because when you're down here, you got the one story that's this big or the two-story, it's almost impossible to measure. But when you have that eagle view, it makes it a lot easier. So now, like I was discussing earlier, you're going to do an inspection, and there's not a right way or a wrong way, but there is a way that most adjusters do a claim. So some adjusters are going to do what you call clockwise. Basically, you're in the front elevation, this side, then you're going to do the left, you're going to do the back, you're going to do the right. Or, now, most of the adjusters I know do it counterclockwise. You're in the front elevation, you're going to go to the right elevation, you're going to go to the back elevation, and then to the left elevation. During your inspection, you're going to have contractors, or you're going to have the insured following you. They're going to try to get you to jump around, and that's going to mess everything up. It's going to, not just for the examiners, but for yourself. You're going to start taking pictures of different elevations, and if you don't label them as you go, you're going to get to your place where you're going to put all this stuff together, and you're going to be like, man, was that the front? Was that the back? Because all of a sudden you just got this much, like a damaged area. You don't, when you're doing 5 a day or 4 or 3, or you're new, it's going to be hard to remember what the little part is. So if you take your front elevation, you know everything preceding that photo is going to be related to the front elevation. Then you take your right elevation, everything preceding that is labeled right, and so forth. Then you're going to do the same thing with your roof. So make sure that you take those elevations. Make sure you use that same systematic way every time. Okay, so there's minimum photos that are required on an inspection. Now, normally, almost every carrier is going to have one photo of each elevation, and a lot of them want a picture of the address. Then, of course, you're going to have damage of each damaged area. Now, let's say you have a elevation, and it has all different kinds of, it'll go from here to here, then from here to here, and you have gutters all over the place. Take a picture of one gutter. You don't have to take every one of those pictures. You have a downspout, take a picture of one of the downspouts. You don't have to go in there, because there could be 4 or 5 downspouts. Take one picture. Screens, same thing. Take a real good picture of one of the screens and indicate how many screens you have damage to. You're going to do that to all the elevations. Additionally, a lot of the carriers want a picture of the overhead door in the garage, damaged or not. Don't ask me why. I just do it because that's what they want. Some of them don't require it, so you don't have to do it, but I always do it regardless, because nobody's ever told me, oh, you've got too many pictures, Hector. Like a lot of people say, you cannot take too many pictures. Another thing that a lot of people do require is that you take a picture of the air conditioner and the name, the plate that has the serial number and the model number. And I know why some people do it, because later on that air conditioner gets stolen, all of a sudden they're going to call us and you're going to ask them, well, do you know what kind it was? No, I really don't. Okay, but you know what? The last adjuster that was here, he took a picture. Y'all have my serial number from the last inspection y'all had. Okay, so let me see. I talked about that. I talked about that. We're talking about each slope. Okay, so now let's go into your to the roof. Same thing. You're gonna take a photo of each slope, front, right, back, left. In addition, and you're gonna keep them by the slope. In addition, you're gonna mark out in chalk a 10 by 10 square, and I'm going to show you all of this in a few minutes. Then within that square, you're going to have hail hits, and you want at least 2 good hail hits. As I'm drawing my hail hits, when let's say I do one and I really like that one, I put a little mark underneath there, so that when I'm taking my photos, that's the ones I want to take. I don't have to go looking for it again. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark everything and then take photos at the end so I don't forget nothing. Okay. So there's the 2. Okay, so some insurance independent, the IA firms, they want you to do a brittle test. Some of them don't want you to do the brittle test. I like both situations, and I'm going to tell you why. The brittle test really is nice for you to feel good about whether you're going to buy that elevation or not. But here's the problem. Sometimes you're not going to pay for that elevation for several reasons. They didn't reach the deductible. They had actual cash value instead of replacement cash value. And there's a lot of situations. But here's the problem. When you're going in there with your putty knife and you're taking apart the shingles so you can lift them, you're going to damage that shingle, because some of this stuff is so glued to each other and it's so deteriorating that all you're doing is damaging it. But some people require it, some of them don't. So you're going to take a picture before you start damaging their roof. That's the way I call it. But then you're going to lift it and you're going to do the brittle test, and I'm going to show you some samples. And then you do a post. Once you'll see that the thing got creased, so it didn't pass. So right as you're going up in your ladder, so you're climbing up on your ladder, then the first thing you're going to do is measure your gutter, because that's closer to you. So go ahead and measure it. And if you're going to pay for ice and water seal, you're going to measure the eave, because there's a calculation as to how you pay for ice and water seal. So then the next thing you want to do is, so the next thing in front of you, before you lift it, is going to be a drip edge. Some companies want to know if the felt is in the bottom, installed at the bottom or in top, because some of them are going to give you the drip edge, some of them are not. So that's important. Then you're going to lift it up, take good photos of how many layers it is. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're still right there. Then the next thing you're going to do is see the gauge of the roof. And some companies don't want that because those gauges are really not true. So some of them are, but some of them required, some of them don't. So these are just guidelines that I'm explaining. Okay, so now the next thing you're going to do, you're moving in further into the roof. Now you're going to get a pitch gauge, and you're going to check the pitch gauge on there. Okay, so we talked about pitch gauge, single gauge, drip edge. Then if you see valley metal while you're there, sometimes you can see valley metal right as you're going up on your valleys. So take a picture of that. Okay, so let me show you. Let me see. And then so when you go into your interior, you're gonna take photos, an overview of one corner of the room, and then the other corner, and try to get as much as you can. And if it's possible, you want to take a photo of the floor. You want to take a photo of the ceiling. And if there's damage to that room, you're going to take a close-up photo of the damaged area. Okay. Some companies require you take pictures of every room. Okay, so keep that in mind, and I'll show you some photos that, take photos, good photos, damaging. Okay, so let's see what we're talking about here. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go to the front elevation. I'm going to take a picture. In that picture, you see right here where it says image name? All the images that are front elevation, I'm going to put front elevation. Then, on the description, I'm going to explain what that front elevation is. This one says dwelling front elevation overview. Okay, so then I'm going to go to my next photo. Remember we talked about taking a picture of the address? Remember, front elevation, dwelling front elevation, close-up of address. So, now I want to start going real fast, because now we know that I have to take the front elevation, at least a minimum of one, and of damages. So I'll keep on going. Now all of a sudden, I got hail damage to my screen. So in some cases, what you want to go ahead and do is label it. You see how I drew that? And you could even like point to it right there. And so it's going to be front elevation, dwell in front elevation, close up, hail damage to the window screen. So we go to the next. See right here, front elevation, dwelling, front elevation, close up, hail damage to the downspouts. This is my right elevation. So now all of a sudden, everything that precedes this one here is going to say front elevation, and then I'll explain what that is in that elevation. So now let's continue to make this claim, this video short. So we go, now we're doing all the elevations, we're naming. Remember how I said they want a picture of the air conditioner, and then there's hail damage, and I'm going to explain, dwelling. This was in the back elevation overview, hail damage to the AC. Then here's my dwelling, back elevation, close up, hail damage, HV serial number. And then in addition, I typed what the serial number was. I went ahead and put the model number. Okay, so then if it was wind damage, hail damage, you list all the, now you're going up there. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of my eaves if I'm going to provide for ice and water shield. Now the next thing is your gutters. That's the closest thing to you. Indicate how many inches that gutter is if you're going to pay for it. If you're not going to pay for it, you know, but you don't know until you get up there. So you're there, might as well take a picture of it. That way you don't have to go back. Okay. So remember, another thing that I didn't discuss. You see how I have this this photo here? My gutters are installed on top of the drip edge. My drip edge is there. So if I'm going to replace that drip edge, there's no way I'm going to be able to take that drip edge without detaching and resetting the gutters. So let's say that the gutters are not going to be replaced. You're going to have to pay to detach and reset the gutters so that you can replace the drip edge if the drip edge is going to be replaced. So keep that in mind. So right here, you know, front slope, indicate how many layers. I'm showing a close-up that the drip edge is under, the felt is under the drip edge. Now I'm taking a photo of the gauge, a pitch gauge. Now there's two different kinds that you can do. I keep each one of them in my belt, because if that battery goes down on that and I don't have this guy there and I don't have a battery, that's going to ruin your whole day right there. So you're going to take a picture of the shingle gauge. Now the first thing I do, you see how I have front slash south, and I put 10 by 10, hail equals 8, wind equals 0. The reason that I put all this information is because there's going to be some documents. Some of them are going to be Excel documents that are going to be required to be filled out. And it's not going to say front. It's going to have either south. It doesn't have an option to put front. You're not going to know if you don't do this right away. You know, later on you're going to wish you did. So I always do it. It only takes a few seconds. So I do that. Then, you know, I didn't have no hail hit, but there's a mark if there was hail there. Remember, this is still my front slope. And there's another one. Then this is my post brittle test. I show that right here, there's no crease nowhere, right? Then I go in, I do my brittle test, I take a picture while I'm doing the brittle test, and then at the end, if this would have been all creased up, the brittle test, there would have been an F there for fail. And then, so right here, I put brittle test. I should have removed failed, so I just put pass, okay? Then, most carriers or most companies want an overview of that test square, and that's what it's going to look like right there. They want you to take the whole, they want to see this, 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 the writing, and the hail hits. So then they want an overview of that particular slope. So now we're going to go real fast through this. So there's your front slope. Now you're going to do your right slope. Same photo over and, you know, then the back slope. And then you can take pictures of your flashing if it has damage. So I usually get all my components at the end. It really doesn't matter, I don't think, but that's how I do it. I've never had no complaints. If there was hail damage, I would have marked it. If that had hail damage, and I just usually take one photo of each one of the components. If you have the kick out diverters, you want to make sure that you take a picture of those. Your valley metal. If you see hail damage on the gutters, maybe where you were coming up, you might have not seen any hail damage. You weren't able to take a photo of the damage, and so you're going around and you finally find it, take photos of that. Take pictures of your satellites, because when you tell them, hey, I'm paying for a satellite to be detached and reset, they're going to be like, well, I don't see it. Now, there it is right there. Now, we're going to go into the interior. I get a little anal on this. You don't have to do everything I do, but, I always take a picture as I'm walking into the proper dwelling, and I try to systematically do the same thing that I always do. Like, I'll go in, if I'm going to inspect the whole house, I'm going to go to the right. I'll take a photo as I'm going to the right. That way, I'll know later on what these photos are. But in the I'm also putting entry towards extra bedroom slash bathroom computer area. And so I label that that's my extra bedroom. Like, this one's overview of the extra bedroom from one side, and I go to the other side. You see how I got pictures of the ceiling and the flooring. That way I know what kind of flooring it is, or if it's carpet. And then I go to my bathroom, and then I just start doing every elevation. If they have high-end flooring, you might want to take a picture of it, because if you're going to replace it, there's going to be a big difference between, like, my flooring here. You're talking about $5 a square. That doesn't include insulation, but some people pay 99 cents a square. So you got to make sure that you notate everything that you're taking photos of. So, take one end of the photograph. So now I'll take a close-up of every room. So I'm just going to keep on going. Now, so in the kitchen, and especially if you had held, let's say you had a flood damage to your refrigerator, or that's about the only time we're going to pay for a refrigerator, if it has water damage, flood. So then when you're going to pay for that, you want to make sure you put the serial number and take a picture of it. You see how, in addition to label, I also text it from that. So now, we go in and do the same thing to everything. Okay. Then, when you're paying for texture, like, let's say there's damage in the ceiling, take a good picture. You want to know, was that knockout? Was that, orange peel? Was it popcorn, swirl? There's a bunch of different kinds of textures. So, also, let me see, if you're going to paint or you're going to do something to the door, the trim, indicate what size it is. Like in a big flood, you're gonna take photos of everything, especially if it's something like a nest. These things are expensive. So, and then in flood, you want to indicate how far from the bottom that plug is, because you see that one's only 12 inches from the bottom. But if you had 2 feet water, you're going to pay for that plug, and I think it's like 12 feet of electricity, because once that gets damaged by that flood water, you got to replace that. So, same thing here. You have your switches. Indicate, like this one is 4 feet, 3 inches. Well, if you're only doing 4 feet up to 4, sometimes you'll pay for 2 feet or 4 feet. So if the waters didn't get higher than 4 feet, you're not going to pay for that, and you've indicated that it's above the 4 feet line. Uh, when you're looking at your doors, make sure that, I mean, these are high-end items. Like for instance, with this thing, I can open up my doors if I'm in California or New York, because all my doors are all I can control my whole house through my iPhone. I can let people in. I can turn the air conditioner, and so those are very important that you take pictures of them and what kind they are. You know, take the front and the back, because now I know what kind of doors they are. So let me see, and it's basically the kind of photos you want to do and label them. That's real important. Let me see. Let me see what other notes I have here that might be pertinent. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, so when you're dealing with hail, hail is usually directional. So you have a house. If the hail's coming in like this, it's probably going to hit this too. Sometimes it's only going to hit one side. Depends on which way the hail's going. But sometimes it can hit two. The likelihood of it hit hail going here and then hitting here and here is not too likely. Okay, so you'll have to explain to the insured at the end. Don't do that in the middle of your inspection. Things can do a 180. This is one hail. A week later, hail could have come in this direction and hail came in this direction. Those are two different events. So that means they got to pay for two different deductibles. Okay, so don't explain it to them that way, but just think about it in your head. We pay for the event that is taking place at that time. They're going to provide us with the date of loss when they told us that the occurrence, the storm occurred. Okay, so so if there's hail damage to this side, you politely tell them, at this point I can provide you for coverage on this side because I see hail coming, I see fresh hail coming this direction, and you determine that by the inspection. Okay, so then you tell them, you do have hail damage, and it probably is or probably not. You don't know that from your time of conception of your policy. What you would have to do is call the same number you got a hold of to do this claim. Give them a call and tell them you have a different date of loss for the additional siding. Okay. Let me see. We talked about that. There's going to be times that you're going to have to learn this program called Settle Assist. Oh yeah, good. My phone is here. So this program here. Let me connect to my iPhone real quick here so I can show you. You're going to have to learn this program. It's a nice program. I love it. I would go crazy if I hate doing claims without this thing, but it is what it is. Sometimes you don't have it. Okay, good. I connected. Okay, so so now let me go in here and show you. So you would go on your iPhone or your iPad. You click on this program here. The only thing about this program that when you're out there, you want to make sure that you have it ready before you even start. So you're going to have to provide with the user and password. And I got this set up where I don't have to remember everything because I have applications to do that for me. Okay, so Um, with this program, you would actually, um, after you request it, just like you request your Eagle View, then claims are going to come in to you. So, like here's a practice one, here's some close uh, claims. So basically, you would go in there, you would do an inspection, you would go to your, let's say, uh, to your elevations. You see, everything's grayed out because I can't change anything because this one here is already processed. But so if you go in here to, here's a training one. I'll go in there and go to my inspection. First thing you want to do is, you know, get the direction of the front elevation. So let's say it's north, you hit OK. Then what kind of shingles this is, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever. You hit 30 year. If it's a hip or gable, then you're going to either put 10% or 15% depending on the y'all standards. But you'll go on and on. And if you have ice and water shield, then, you'll go into your um, front slope, how many hell hits you had. So, but I'm not gonna. This is a totally different thing that I teach, but there's a lot to it. But this thing is nice, nice, nice. If you learn how to use it, if the carriers allow you to use it. Okay. So another thing that I didn't talk about. Actually, okay, are you sure you want to exit? Yes. Okay. Um, there's another a kit. It's called an ITEL kit that is real, real nice to have. Some companies allow it, some of them don't. So basically, when you have damage to your siding, some of the carpet, some of the nice flooring, they want you to send a sample to a company called ITEL. They look at that, and that's all they do is uh, they find where to find it, if it's still available, what the price is. They send it back to you, and you put that into your Xactimate price. You know, uh, so so I have this kit. I think it's cost like $300 or something like that, and I'm able to do the sample right there, and I don't even have to send it to them. And I show, in some of my other videos, if you've never heard of it, I suggest that you look at one of my videos because it's something real nice to have. But first, you got to know it. You don't want to go down there and learn this stuff. You want to know how to use this software. This software here, you can download it. You can call that 1-800 number and tell them, hey, this is me. Can you send me a test sample so that I can practice? And they'll send it to you. So let me see what else I got here. I think we're almost done. I review scope. Some companies require that you complete a roof. There's going to be some forms when you're there that the carriers are going to expect you to have the customer sign it. And some of them don't, some of them do, but have it printed just in case. Okay, guys, this is it for this lesson. Sorry I talked so fast. You got my email address if you have questions or concerns. Here's some of my other videos that I have already posted. So this one right here is gonna be posted. It probably takes me an hour to post it because I got to do some stuff to it. This one's already posted, this one's already posted, this one's already posted, and then this one was posted last week. So sometimes you have to go in and draw diagrams like, roof diagrams. I can teach you how to do that diagram by using a Google scan. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you like it. Email me if you have questions or concerns.